So have you ever wondered why Christians today follow some laws in the Old Testament but not others? We follow the Ten Commandments, or try to, but we don't follow things like the kosher dietary laws. And why is that? Well, most Christians, to be completely honest, have no idea how to really answer this question. I've heard people say things like, well, that's in the Old Testament, that's not relevant anymore. Okay, newsflash, remember, the Ten Commandments are in the Old Testament. So it sounds like Christians are just picking and choosing what scriptures they like. And don't think that Hollywood has not pointed this out.
I like how you call homosexuality an abomination.
I don't say homosexuality is an abomination, Mr. President. The Bible does.
Yes, it does. Leviticus
18:22.
chapter and verse. I wanted to ask you a couple of questions while I had you here. I'm interested in selling my youngest daughter into slavery as sanctioned in Exodus 21:7. Touching the skin of a dead pig makes one unclean, Leviticus 11:7. If they promise to wear gloves, can the Washington Redskins still play football? Does the whole town really have to be together to stone my brother John for planting different crops side by side? Can I burn my mother in a small family gathering for wearing garments made from two different threads?
But the answer is simple, and it's at the beginning of the Sermon on the Mount. See, Jesus did not come to abolish the law, but rather to fulfill it. Now, many of these laws were pointing to the Messiah and to mark God's people as a messianic people. So when Jesus arrives, he fulfills them, and they're just simply no longer needed. It's like having a concert poster hung up, but after the concert, it's not needed anymore. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Kosher and dietary laws were fulfilled when Jesus said that it's not what you put in your body that makes you clean, but rather what comes out of your body. Spiritually speaking, of course. Civil law set up the justice and legal system that showed punishment for crimes. Now that only applied to the holy nation of Israel, and Jesus came to establish a new kingdom that's not of this world. Ceremonial and sacrificial laws were given to God's people to atone for sins, but in Hebrews, we're told that Jesus is the high priest, and he is the perfect sacrifice. When Jesus died on the cross, the veil in the temple was torn, showing that this ceremonial system is fulfilled in the work and person of Christ. And finally, there's the moral law, which is different from all the other laws simply because it reflects the nature of God. Now, these are timeless, and Jesus only upheld the moral law. In fact, on the Sermon on the Mount, he even expanded the implications of the moral law. So, the moral law, which has things like the Ten Commandments, still apply today. So there you go. The next time a friend of yours brings this up on Facebook and feels like that they've toppled 2,000 years of Christianity with a single Google search and without talking to a single pastor about this subject, just say, hey, Jesus fulfilled that law, but the moral law still applies. And that is enough today for our Historical Minute.